a lot of people can have children just because that's the next step in life and the thing to do. A lot of people have children to watch those children develop and grow, to nurture, to love, to protect, to want to see their children succeed in life and try to avoid their children going through any suffering in life. However, we can all be capable of not allowing our children to suffer to a detrimental effect to our children, because then they don't know how to deal with suffering as such. It's very challenging being a parent, and it's very challenging getting it right, and we often make plenty of mistakes and learn along the way. And even when you believe you've almost cracked it with one child, another child comes along who is completely different, and it's a whole new ball game for you to learn who that child is that you were given. With a narcissistic parent, the children they have, for those narcissists that do choose to have children and don't walk out on their children, although many will walk out on their children, their children are a means to an end. You'll often notice with narcissistic parents, the everyday parental duties are used against their children. Their children were a burden to them. Their children stop the parent achieving something. Their children owe their parent something. Their children should be there for them. Their children should put their parent first. Which shows the narcissistic parent didn't have the children for the child's benefit, they had the children for the narcissistic parent's benefit. There's lots of things when it comes to the narcissist and their children. Some narcissistic parents go all out to try and live through their children, to try and get their children to live the narcissistic parent's dreams. They're not supportive of them. They're not supportive of the child's interest and what the child wants to do. They're supportive of their own interests that they force onto that child. And a child can often look like it is their interest because they've been conditioned, they've been programmed to please the narcissistic parent. As whenever the child disagrees with the narcissistic parent, they're punished in some way. They're not punished in a manner of disciplining them between right and wrong. They're punished because they're not living life on the narcissistic parent's terms. So some narcissistic parents believe that those children are an extension of themselves and they should conform to the narcissistic parent's demands. Other narcissistic parents are extremely envious of their own children and go all out to sabotage their own children, to mock them, to criticize them, to pull them down any way they can, to stop their children being successful because they don't want their children doing better than they themselves did. Some narcissistic people will use their children as a competition, either a competition with other people of how much the narcissist is a better parent, or to play the children off against siblings to get the siblings to work harder to please the narcissistic parent. When it comes to a narcissist, they are looking to gain that supply, and they will use their own children to get that supply from. A narcissist will use their own children to impress strangers. So when there's an audience, they will do for their children. They will be there for their children. They'll be really kind to their children. Yet behind closed doors, they are a completely different character. They're looking for that adoration and that praise from others about what an amazing parent they are. Yet behind closed doors, they're not that parent that they're putting the front on to the strangers. They use children as a pawn in their games. So they might abandon their own children, yet they will be overly there for somebody else's children to sell those strangers an illusion of what the narcissist could potentially be. So when the narcissist claims that they're not allowed to see their other children, that their ex is bitter and twisted and jealous, that their children have no respect for them. It's easier to believe the narcissist lies because you're watching their actions of how the narcissist is with other people's children. So you sympathise with them and think, how could somebody take children away from such an amazing parent? It's only when you watch them for a period of time that you get to see their repeat pattern of behaviour as they do become abusive towards those children that aren't theirs. They do play those children off against other people. A narcissistic parent will happily use a stepchild to punish their child and happily use their child to punish a stepchild. Narcissistic parents expect that eternal gratitude from their children. Whatever they did for their children, they will use against their children. And these are parental duties that they will use against their children. Things like, I put a roof over your head. They will take the credit for their children's achievements and they will blame their children for the narcissistic parents' failings. They blame their children for the narcissistic parents' failings to use their children as a scapegoat so that the narcissist isn't held responsible for their own inadequacies. They use their children as a weapon against others in order to get their own way. They use their children as a weapon in order to gain communication with somebody, in order to gain attention from somebody. They use their children as a weapon in order to punish somebody. When it comes to a narcissist and their children are simply another source of supply to the narcissist. So where you can think a narcissist doesn't want to be alone and they will jump from relationship to relationship, a narcissistic parent can be alone if they can use their children temporarily. Yet as soon as somebody else comes on the scene, they will then drop their children and gain the attention from somebody else. And then when that somebody else isn't conforming to the narcissist's demands, they'll swoop in and spoil their children to get their children back onto the narcissistic parent's side. When it comes to a narcissist, it's all about supply. They don't genuinely care about those children. If they genuinely cared about them, they wouldn't treat them in the way that they do. If anyone has any thoughts on this video, please do add those into the comments. Thank you very much to all the returning subscribers and your continued support with the channel. It's greatly appreciated. If you are new to the channel, I'm Elizabeth Shaw. This channel is all about narcissistic behaviour to give you more understanding of the people you might be dealing with within your life, how to handle yourself around those people if you cannot go no contact, and different methods to find what works for you to help you understand and overcome narcissistic and emotional abuse. If you do find the information helpful on the channel, please do subscribe. If you are looking for further help and support in understanding and overcoming narcissistic and emotional abuse, I do have several online guides available and those teachable links are in the video description. If you're looking for someone to speak to, I have partnered with BetterHelp and their sponsored link is also in the video description. I do also have a new book out which is 15 Rules to Deal with Narcissistic People, and I'll also add the link to that in the video description. Go out there and create the day that you deserve, because you do deserve to have an amazing day. Bye.